Please take your seats. Can everyone hear us? More volume. I'll try not to yell into the mic. Can you hear us now? No? Well, fortunately, we're not going to be doing that much speaking. Senator Johnson will reply. So welcome everyone to this empty chair town hall. On behalf of Worth Fighting for Wisconsin, the League of Progressive Seniors, Grassroots Germantown, and Grassroots North Shore, I'm Nancy Kaplan. I'm Nancy Kaplan. This is Cheryl Moranto. The two of us are the co-chairs of Grassroots North Shore. Before we begin the program proper, there's a little bit of housekeeping we need to accomplish, starting with a huge thank you to Nicolet High School, Superintendent Greg Cabara, and Recreation Director Nate Brooks. The school and their personnel have been extremely generous in providing us this wonderful facility free of charge for this nonpartisan civic event. And a heartfelt thanks to Ginny Good, where is she? Where's Ginny? And all the volunteers who signed you in and who have distributed cards and keeping the event running smoothly. We also need to thank Dan Folkman, our videographer. You will all be receiving a copy of the video of this event and the prelude video that we ran sometime after the event when we've had a chance to put all the pieces together. On April 4th, we invited Senator Johnson to attend the town hall, and yesterday, we finally got a reply letting us know that he would not be coming. So, thank you, Senator Johnson. We're sorry the senator isn't present to hear all your statements from his constituents, but we'll send him the video, the cards you write. So please include your name and full address on your card with your question for the senator, and we will be collecting them to deliver to his office in DC. People who are here to speak, please make sure that you announce your name and your community before you begin your remarks. Finally, before I turn it over to Cheryl, I want to say please be civil and courteous, both to each other and to Senator Johnson.
Okay, so I get to say all the fun stuff. We'll get to as many speakers as possible. Louder, I guess? All right. We'll get to as many speakers as possible. Please limit your remarks to no more than 3 minutes. We will be timing, and I will have to cut you off because we have many more speakers than we have time for. So if you can do it in less than 3, that's even better. Okay, is this better? Okay, we can go until 1 o'clock if there are still people waiting to speak, because we have the facility until then. Anyone who wants to go to the overpass rally, because there's one right close by, you probably will want to leave about 11:45. You can do so, but please try to go quietly. We are expecting several of our state senators and representatives. I don't believe any of them are here yet. They are Chris Larson, Deb Andraka, Darren Madison, and Ryan Clancy, who is an alumnus of Nicolet. Speakers should have numbered slip indicating their place in the speaker queue. At this time, I'd like to ask people with the first 10 numbers, 1 through 10, to make your way up to that X in front where you'll be speaking. Get in a line, but before the speakers, we'll have Mayor Brian Kennedy kick us off. Brian has been mayor of Glendale since 2015. He also chairs the Milwaukee County Intergovernmental Cooperation Council. And he's been a terrific mayor for us. So thank you, Brian.
Thank you to all the wonderful organizations that helped put this together today. And a huge thank you to Nancy and Cheryl, who have been just phenomenal as leaders in our community. For those of you who go out on new campuses, supporting candidates, you know that we meet at Cheryl's house. So there's been nobody that has done as much for helping good candidates get elected than Cheryl and Nancy. My name is Brian Kennedy. I am the mayor of the city of Glendale, and it is a pleasure to welcome you here to Nicolet. You know, I was here a few weeks ago when Gwen Moore held a town hall meeting, and she actually showed up for it. We heard some absolutely heartbreaking stories that day. Mothers showing up with their children who have special needs, who receive Medicaid funding that is being slashed by the federal government. We heard from veterans who are no longer able to get the same level of VA care that they were getting before. What is happening right now in Washington is absolutely tragic, and it is a disgrace the way in which Donald Trump and Elon Musk are treating the programs and the agencies and the people of the United States. We do not have a money problem. You can tell by looking at how many billionaires there are in this country. We have a priorities problem. And so I am here today as one of your elected officials to say to you, I show up when you ask me to show up at a town hall meeting. I will be held accountable by the people who put me in office, and our elected officials should be doing the exact same thing. Ron Johnson and the others who represent us in Washington are the check on Donald Trump's power. We have 3 different branches of government. Not one. And Congress needs to step up and do its job. The courts, even as lopsided as the Republican appointees to the courts have been over the last couple of decades, the courts are actually showing up and telling Donald Trump that he's breaking the law. But Congress needs to do the exact same thing. I want to welcome you to Glendale. Friends, neighbors, I am so glad that you are here. I'm looking forward to hearing your stories, and I know Ron Johnson is looking forward to hearing your stories. And we just know he is going to step up and he is going to hold Donald Trump accountable, right? So thank you all for being here, and I look forward to hearing from everyone this morning.
All right, number 1. And you know what? Why don't you guys, speakers maybe should line up here. Come on up. Thank you so much. First 10, line up here. Remember to state your name and address and municipality before your comment. Thank you.
And if you agree, hold up one color, and if you disagree, hold up the other color, so we see the audience. And then my kids, you have 3 minutes to speak, and we will cut you off at the end of 3 minutes, and be sure to stand on the X. Thank you.
Rosalie Valenti, Whitefish Bay, Wisconsin. My son with autism pays taxes, the taxes that pay for Senator Johnson's state-sponsored health care. Senator Johnson, how will you ensure that the Musk-Trump cuts won't take away my son's health care? The math doesn't work out. Last week, my son received a notification that his Medicaid was renewed. It will be his only source of health insurance for the rest of his life. He pays into the system that allows him to live independently in his community, living a rich, full life. The IRIS program, which is funded through Medicaid, ensures that he lives in a safe community that he loves. He can walk to work independently so that he can pay those taxes. He has access to public transportation, which increases his independence and quality of life. No tax breaks for billionaires on the backs of disabled people.
Hello everyone, and thank you so much for being here. My name is Terry Dorr, and I'm from Milwaukee. I've been helping an Afghan family of 6 since they escaped the Taliban. And I hope I can do this without crying, because it makes me so sad to think that if Trump eliminates their temporary protective status, they could be deported back to Afghanistan and killed. They are hardworking. Dad works 3 jobs. They have learned English. They came here with no English at all. They have 4 children, 3 of whom speak English. The little one is only 2 years old. They are hardworking. They pay taxes. They have done everything they can possibly do to adjust to life in Milwaukee. Eliminating temporary protective status makes absolutely no sense to me. Why would we be sending 70,000 Afghans back to that country so that we can have them killed? Why would we do that? Because they supported American countries and supported our own country. Thank you.
Just a quick announcement. We love the signs, but hold up one at a time. Otherwise, your green sign looks red from the back. All right? Thank you.
Good morning. My name is Lee Carroll. I'm from Shorewood, Wisconsin.
Closer, microphone up to your mouth.
My name is Lee Carroll. I'm from Shorewood, Wisconsin. I also reside in Sister Bay, Wisconsin, so that's part of Ron Johnson's territory. And I wanted to address the issue of the treatment of our immigrants. We've gone through a horrible week of learning about maltreatment of the people who are illegally and some who are illegally in our country. However, they do have the rights of our protection. And so my concern really is that our immigration is not the problem. The problem is how we're treating people. The immigrants that we are in this country are working, they're contributing to our economy, they're paying taxes, they're paying Social Security to our benefit, not to theirs. And then we're sending them to concentration camps. And that's how I look at it. It's no different to me than how we treated people in Nazi Germany when we had the Jewish people going to concentration camps. And I believe that the standards of those camps in El Salvador are actually those that are willing to kill people for no reason. And we have to do everything we can to protect them just as we protect ourselves. So, Senator Johnson, I want to know what you're going to do to bring these people back. When I was a child, I learned that when you made a mistake, you said, I made a mistake, and then you fixed it. Well, you made a mistake and you're not fixing it, and we want you to fix it right now. We want to know how soon you're going to bring these people back.
Good morning. My name is Jerry Frederickson. I live in Greenfield. And Senator Johnson, I did not come here today to scream at you, and neither did the rest of your town hall people that are attending today. I've written to your office and left messages and spoken to your staff, hoping to have a conversation with your Milwaukee office, but you did not respond. So what we're doing here today is probably the best we can do to communicate for the time being. I wrote you a letter December 17th when I asked for your help in placing some guardrails around this president, as I feared we were losing our democracy to an authoritarian government. You did not respond to my letter, even though I called your staff many times for a response. Our worst fears have now been realized, as the president has no intention of following the rule of law. I am appalled that a Tufts University student was arrested by ICE in plain clothes and swept off to a prison in retaliation for an op-ed piece she wrote in a student newspaper. I'm appalled that people are being rounded up without the true process of law, be sent to the CCOT prison. I'm worried that many of us in this room may be next if we speak out or organize against this president. Senator Lisa Murkowski recently said, "We are all afraid. To overcome that fear, we will have to stand as one, liberals, conservatives, Democrats, Republicans, members of Congress, judges, lawyers, churches, and leaders of institutions. And you too, to defeat authoritarianism. You know well what is at stake. Will you help us?"
Okay, before you speak, will the next 10, 11 through 20 come up? And Chris, you can get behind number 10 here. Our state senator. All right, go ahead.
My name is Helga Gakir. My name is Helga Gakir, and I live in Milwaukee. There are so many issues. I had a very hard time narrowing this down, but I think I got to one of the basic ones. Senator Johnson, how can you stand by and allow Trump and his administration to intentionally disrupt the laws of our country?
Thank you for this opportunity. Senator Johnson, my name is Susan Bernstein. I grew up in Salt Lake City, Utah. I have several years of experience in the federal government, both on Capitol Hill as a legislative assistant and in the federal government executive branch in public health care. I remember the days when Senator Kennedy and Senator Orrin Hatch co-sponsored the first bill for AIDS research. I remember the days when the two of them co-sponsored the first bill to ban smoking on airplanes. When they worked together, they could get a lot done. Now what I see, and we all see, is an entirely different climate where we are unnecessarily divided. And I see, and as the rest of you also see, that President Trump is Putin's Trojan horse. And I'm waiting for the first cartoonist to show that to us in a cartoon. I guess my most urgent feeling of today, what makes me the most nauseous, is that I see that Trump is treating our legal immigrants as people who can go and be put in a gulag archipelago, as the Russians did for many years. And he's talking about doing that with US citizens as well. This is abominable. I feel nauseous. It's revolting. Thank you for your support, everyone.
Good morning. Thank you for showing up. It does feel sometimes that we're alone in this, and it is no small thing to show up. And look for yourself. We're missing one person who decided not to show up, and that speaks volumes too. Oh, sorry. I'm Chris Larson, state senator. I see some of my neighbors are in the room in Bayview, representing Milwaukee all the way down to the south suburbs. Yes, exactly. It is the way that bullies are able to gather their strength by making you feel like you're alone, making you feel like no one else is going to step out there for you, by picking you out of the crowd and saying you are not one of us and pushing you off to the side. And if it's not you at that time, there's a temptation, a feeling at the pit of your stomach to feel like, well, at least it's not me, and if I put my head down and I have my eyes in another direction, that they won't get to me. And it gives me so much courage to know that you are here, and it should give you courage to know that we are locking our arms together to be able to say, we're standing up against this bully right away. To the point, one of the first pieces of legislation that I introduced this session was the stopgap funding measure to get ready for a loss of federal funds. Not that we are going to be able to make up for the federal dollars that we're missing in our state if they decide to pull the rug out from under us. It's $28 billion, which is about 27% of our overall budget. So that means, and it's more than everybody is paying an income tax in our state combined. So there is no way we can make up for the cuts if they decide to follow through in cutting Title I, if they go after our university funding, if they go after food share, and if they're going to be going after those things that we assume are going to be happening with federal government. But what we can do is prepare to make sure that our universities, our schools, and those that rely on federal funds are not going to be kowtowed into making decisions out of fear. We cannot allow for that. Do not look away. Do not look away from this and what is happening, and speak the truth of exactly what we are seeing here. If you're like me, I'll say it like this. I was knocking on doors before there was an election a couple weeks ago, some folks may remember. And this is not an electoral issue. This is about our democracy. But I was out knocking on doors with somebody who had never knocked doors before, and met her at the location, and she was shaking. She had never done this before. She said, "Can I hitch a ride? I didn't know, I thought we were going to launch from this point." And I thought back to the first time I had ever knocked on doors and what initiated me to step out into politics. I don't come from a political family. My family still doesn't follow politics. Most of them don't know what my position is. But there was something that happened, and so there was a story there, and I was determined to hear what got her out, because I'm sure, like all of you, we're always asking that question: why aren't there more people? This is good, but why aren't there more people figuring this out? So I was trying to figure out what got her out. What got Emily, was her name, mid-30s. She had just moved back to the country. She was a Wisconsin girl, and she had said, "I lived in Hungary, and I watched what happened there with Viktor Orban, where he ended up stepping forward and then eliminating the funding for universities and saying they are the enemy." And everybody kind of let that happen. And then he went after the LGBTQ community and said they are the enemy. And everyone kind of faded away. But the ones that he started with were the immigrants. And it expanded. And she said, "I'm seeing it happen here, and I need to do something." So showing up however you can, wherever you can, is going to make a difference. So you're not alone. Show up. We are going to make sure Ron Johnson hears from you.
Senator Johnson, my
Name, your name and community.
My name is Catherine Buckowicz. I'm a returned Peace Corps volunteer, as is my husband. We live in the zip code 53211, Whitefish Bay. I ask you to maintain Peace Corps funding at $430.5 million for fiscal year 2026 at minimum, because it's a cost-effective investment that makes America stronger globally. For over 60 years, Peace Corps has been one of the most effective diplomatic tools. Let me highlight how it serves U.S. interests. Global diplomacy. Volunteers are often America's first face in developing nations, building trust and goodwill where traditional diplomacy may fall short. National security. Through education, health, environmental work, Peace Corps builds sustainable communities and fosters partnerships. This reduces dependency on foreign aid and can decrease the need for military involvement, saving tax dollars. High return on investment. Peace Corps budget is less than 1/10 of 1% of the federal budget. budget. Yet, its long-term impact far exceeds that. Sustainable development reduces future foreign aid needs. Economic benefits at home. Returned Peace Corps volunteers are globally aware citizens. Sorry, getting emotional. Thanks. Deep breath. 1 in 7 now serve in senior leadership roles in the public and private sector. Opening markets for U.S. businesses and strengthening our economy. Many distinguished public servants, including members of Congress, are returned Peace Corps volunteers. Peace Corps has always been a strong bipartisan support for good reasons. Please continue this investment in America's future. Peace Corps is not a charity, it's an investment. Peace Corps volunteers help keep America great at home and abroad.
And I'm just a worker bee. We need people 20 to 30 to come and line up over here on the side. And I just want to have one comment. I think 99.9% of us in this room are generational immigrants. We are a country of immigrants.
My name is I'm from Wauwatosa, zip code 53213. I'm going to read something, Senator Johnson, from your own website. This is a quote. Agriculture has a strong heritage in Wisconsin as one of the driving forces behind our state's economy. In order to keep the sector growing, Senator Johnson has supported initiatives that will expand new and current markets to share our great Made in Wisconsin products. My question, Senator Johnson, is if this is truly what you believe, why have you helped the administration eliminate USAID, which in 2024 alone bought $2 billion worth of crops from Wisconsin farmers? Since I have 3 minutes, I will also ask, having declared $57 million in income, most of which is in a family trust, and paying yourself to rent your own facility in Washington, D.C., for which you paid $1 million, you paid no taxes at all on this trust since 2016. Just the messenger. My question is, have you paid any income tax at all since 2016 and since becoming a senator? Because I'm sure every single person in this room has.
My name is John Frederick. My name is John Frederick, and I'm from Shore, Wisconsin, 53211. And I'd just like to say that Trump took an oath to preserve, protect, and defend the Constitution of the United States. And yet he's already committed perjury with his relentless attack on the Constitution. In addition to which, Ron Johnson has said, I will support and defend the Constitution of the United States against all enemies, foreign and domestic, in his oath of office. So, in the face of Trump's attacks, when are you going to adhere to your oath and defend the Constitution from Trump? And I'd also like to add that virtually all immigrants have committed fewer crimes than Donald Trump. said many times that the greatest problem this country has is the budget deficit and the national debt. And yet, you said that yet you provided the tie-breaking vote to enable Donald Trump to run up $7.8 trillion in debt during his first term. And now you're supporting him with another tax cut that has been proposed, which will run up untold trillions of dollars during the next 4 years. Thank you very much.
Hello all, I am Jody Havish-Sinnigan. Senator for the 8th District. I live in Whitefish Bay, and I am grateful to be here and see so many faces that I know who have worked so hard to move our state and our country forward. And there is no way in heck I wanted to miss showing up here today. I just came from a Menominee Falls grassroots meeting, and there are going to be efforts all over the area, but I was experiencing such severe FOMO about not being here too that I definitely made my way as quickly as possible down Good Hope Road. So, I assume you all feel the energy in the room even if Senator Johnson cannot, because he is not here, but it is so important for all of us to come together and not be bystanders at this time in history. We have been watching what is happening at the federal level, the deconstruction of our agencies, tax on our economy, on our most vulnerable, our schools, our colleges, the list goes on. And what we need is our federal legislators, like Senator Ron Johnson, to do their jobs. And in this case, for him, it is to look out for the people of Wisconsin. And that includes the veterans. I'm on the Committee for Veterans and Military Affairs Committee. 98% of the benefits that go to our Wisconsin veterans comes from the federal government. So those services, the care that they receive, in Wisconsin, our budget only provides 2%. That's a big lift. We see that for our universities, our research facilities. We see it for so many programs like Medicaid, Social Security, and the like. We need him to show up so that we are not finding ourselves in a very precarious position soon for these people. I just want to wrap up that I have myself tried to reach out to Senator Johnson. I did speak with his deputy director on behalf of our economic interests, what's going on with the tariffs and the uncertainty for manufacturers, for businesses. They should be hearing loud and clear that he needs to stand up for us here in that regard as well. So thank you for this time, and thank you all for being
My
here. Thank you.
name is Jean Perla Strauss,
And my name is Martin Strauss.
and we live in Glendale. And our question, Senator Johnson, is we want to know, are there any issues which you disagree with President Trump? If you don't, how are you representing all of the Wisconsin voters and constituents? Because the majority do not support, the polls all show, the majority do not support what is happening with DOGE, with what President Trump is doing. And how are you representing us? Which you said you would represent us. We did not elect Elon Musk. He did not go through any vetting. have paid taxes since we were 16 years old in our first jobs. And I'm starting Medicare in August. I'm on Social Security, my husband is on both. We do not support tax cuts for billionaires. We support Social Security, Medicare, Medicaid. We're not happy about the funding that has been taken from the Hunger Task Force as retribution because Susan Crawford won. Or the lead abatement programs that are being taken away for the MPS, all of our children. Both of us spent the majority of our careers in healthcare. My husband was a pharmacist, I was a healthcare administrator. We support healthcare and science, and we don't understand why you don't. And finally, I, for 9 years, was on the Glendale River Hills School Board. I was on with Mayor Kennedy. We also don't support any of the funding that's being taken away for our public schools and our children. So we want to know what you're going to do about it.
I'm not really used to speaking to this many people, but I do want to say, the ICE agents are taking away the immigrants. How soon will it be until they take away the Jews? And another thing, and the last thing, Vietnam wants to make a trade deal with the United States. I saw this on Rachel Maddow last night. Do you want to know that part of the deal that they want to make is, number one, open a hotel for Trump at one of his resorts, and put in a lot of money into his coin that he has. Yes, exactly. This is a kleptocracy, and there's nothing short of that.
My name is R.J. Siegel, and my wife and I have been members of Bayside Community for a quarter century. That was my question. So I have another. And this is a little rhetorical, but I would like to ask Mr. Johnson why he's not here. What is he afraid of? Why is he afraid of speaking with the people, his constituents, and listening to them? That's an immense amount of unjustified fear. We're not here with guns, we're here to talk. And that was my question.
Hello, my name is Joe Walsh, and I'm from Bayview, and life's been good to me so far. To Ron Johnson, excuse me, I want him to fight the Trump administration, its defiance of the Constitution and the courts. On April 14th, Trump openly defied a unanimous order from the Supreme Court by refusing to bring back a person they knowingly sent to a torture prison in El Salvador by mistake. Trump openly defies a unanimous order from the Supreme Court. This is a breach of our Constitution. Ronnie, why haven't you done something about this? Why haven't you condemned Trump for this? We have heard nothing from you. Why? Trump has bullied, threatened, and blackmailed universities, law firms, and individuals. If they don't toe the line and do not do what he wants, he blocks the mandated federal funding. We all know Congress has the power of the purse. Trump has usurped that power from Congress. Ron, why haven't you done something about this? You took an oath to uphold the Constitution. You are breaking that oath. Why have you not stopped Trump? Not saying something makes you complicit with his breaking the law. Ron, I'd like you to protect free speech. Okay. Do you believe the president is required to follow the orders of the Supreme Court and bring back Kilmar Abrego Garcia from his executive prison? Thank you.
I just want to say this is what democracy looks like. Right? I have a question for Senator Johnson, and what I want to know, and I haven't heard anything back from him on my many phone calls to his office. What is, Senator, what is your line in the sand? That's what I want to know. A tax on Social Security, Medicare, and Medicaid, that seems to be just fine with you. Grabbing tourists and students off the street and people here legally, that seems to be just fine with you. And sending them off to detention centers around the world, that seems to be just fine. Spreading lies about vaccines and canceling money for research that goes for Alzheimer's and children's cancer and leukemia and other diseases, that seems to be just fine with you. Trashing our national parks, cutting money for veterans, that seems to be just fine with you. So I want to know, what is your line in the sand? Is it going to be when we attack Canada to make them our 51st state? Is it going to be when we start sending U.S. citizens who are really bad people to prisons in El Salvador? What is your line in the sand, Senator? I would like an answer to that question, and I haven't seen a line in the sand yet. I'm Joette, and I'm from Milwaukee.
Thank you. I am State Representative Deb Andraka. I live in Whitefish Bay. My zip code is 53211. And my question for Senator Johnson is, why are you afraid of your constituents? As an elected official, we have a duty to listen to and meet with the people we represent. So I have a story for Senator Johnson. About 7 years ago, I called my elected state representative and I asked him why he wouldn't take action on making better gun laws. I asked him over and over and he stopped taking my calls. So then I showed up with my daughters at his town halls and he stopped holding town halls. So then I decided if I couldn't change his mind, I would have to change his job, and I did. And it could be one of you in this room. There are so many people here who are activated. Thank you so much for showing up. Thank you everyone who this is your first time taking action. It was one of my first times taking action. It was scary. I called my rep over and over again. I tried to meet with him. I tried to meet with him in Madison, and he wasn't there. So for everyone here today, it's time to change Ron Johnson's job. We know how to do it, and we will change your job as soon as we can.
Hi, my name is Kate Schachter. My zip code is 53704. That's in Madison. And I'm from Madison, but the town that you won't come to ever. Because you're afraid of Dane County, apparently. And Milwaukee. I had a different talk lined up as of yesterday. I'm a returned Peace Corps volunteer, and I'm very passionate about Peace Corps. I was passionate about it since I was 10 years old. And I heard John Kennedy give his State of the Union address, and his famous "Ask not what you can do for what your country can do for you, ask what you can do for your country." And at 10 years old, I was committed to Peace Corps. But it was many years before I was able to actually realize that dream. I was over 50 when I applied and went to Ghana for 2.5 years. And then when I went to Georgia, the Republic of Georgia, not the state of Georgia, for 1.5 years. And those were amazing, life-changing experiences for me. Usually people think that it's the college students that changes their lives. Doesn't matter. Peace Corps changes your life no matter how old you are, and that's true for me too. But what I was going to talk about was more related to Peace Corps and so on. But I want to really stress this. I stand for service. And I think that everybody, I'm guessing that everybody in this room is engaged in some sort of volunteer service activities. Your schools, your churches, your community groups, your protests, all of it. And I would ask everybody who stands for service to stand now, but there's too many people, it'll be too disruptive. So, what I want to say, what my question is why are you, Senator Johnson, and your cohort in Doge, who you seem to be very good friends with, why are you killing so many service and goodwill industries? So, that's my question. Thank you very much.
My name is Margaret Serrano, and I live in St. Francis, Wisconsin. Senator Johnson, since you are a member of the Evangelical Lutheran Synod, you have chosen to express publicly your faith in Christ through this we believe. You are committed to produce works that are pleasing to God. Good works are the fruits of faith. Live and act on your faith, Senator Johnson. Love your neighbor as yourself. Obey the moral law of God and stop shaming Christ and your commitment to God.
Hello, my name is Kathy Schluter and I live in Whitefish Bay. I'm also on the board of an inner city faith-based justice organization, and so I'm here to speak to the poor and marginalized in our society. Senator Johnson, it is clear that you have done nothing for the poor and marginalized. But let me list some of the truly cruel things that you and your fellow Republicans are doing to them, especially the children. Children need housing and food stability if they are to learn and thrive. Poor children often live in rundown houses and apartments run by predatory landlords and rely on government food subsidies to not go hungry. And yet you are eliminating entitlement programs that stand between them and total destitution. Children need health care to grow mentally, emotionally, and physically strong. Poor children rely on community health clinics and hospitals to get their health care, and of course, Medicaid. And yet these clinics are closing, and they won't reopen without federal grants, which they're not going to get. And you're also gutting Medicaid. The children in the inner city are being poisoned by lead in the paint and water in their homes and schools. And this compromises their ability to learn and function in society. And yet the CDC's entire lead poisoning prevention branch has been cut. Children need schools that have adequate staff, books, and resources, and the freedom to teach the truth. Schools report children are already underfunded, under-resourced, and struggling with special needs. And yet you are threatening to cut off funding for public schools that don't teach the way you want them to teach, and instead are funding vouchers for private schools. Poor children are also the most vulnerable when price increases and job losses limit the groceries and other basic necessities that their parents can afford. Yet you and the Republican administration have increased prices through reckless tariffs and slashed jobs through indiscriminate budget cuts, all to pay for tax breaks for the super wealthy. And finally, children need to trust in the freedoms this country has always guaranteed. And yet legal immigrants with no criminal records are denied due process as they are illegally arrested and then sent to a torture camp in El Salvador, and those who exercise their freedoms of speech and assembly are being arrested and imprisoned. It is clear that you do not care about the poor and marginalized in our society. You care only about power and privilege for yourself and your rich friends. You do not represent most of the people in this state, and you've turned your back on our democracy, equal opportunity, and the freedoms that we hold dear. So I'm here to demand that you do your job and support all the people in this state with policies that lift them up instead of push them down.
Hello, I'm Judy Stellmacher from West Bend, Wisconsin. That's 53095. And I have one question, short question. Senator Johnson, why have you turned away from democracy and toward authoritarianism? Do you envision a better quality of life for all Americans or just oligarchs? You took an oath of office. I expect you to do your job. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Katie, and I'm from West Dallas, 53219. This is my first time doing this, so excuse my dry mouth. Okay, dear Senator Johnson, I'm speaking to you today. That's what I came here to do. I'm sorry to not see you, and I can only guess why you didn't show up. You say you care about government efficiency. How is it efficient to waste and destroy what we, the people, have been working towards and give it away to billionaires? How is it efficient to give tax cuts to those same billionaires? How is it efficient to use our tax dollars to engage in human trafficking, like with the inhumane and illegal deportation and foreign incarceration of human beings with no due process? Senator Johnson, where is your line for justice? You say it's your honor to serve. I hear it so many times in all of your voice messages that I never get a person on the other end. But who are you serving? Who? But the bullies and the lies and the billionaires. What will it take for your conscience to wake up? At the end of your life, and you will meet the end of your life, and all the power that you currently have will be gone, what will you be proud of? What kind of world are you leaving to your next of kin? Will you be happy on that day with what you are leaving when you meet your Creator? Turn back while you still can. When our country is gone, what will you say then? How will you serve? When U.S. citizens are being sent to concentration camps, how will you serve? When the administration that currently is in office continues to disobey the laws, how will you serve? Is it just the lip service that you give when you say that you care? Why do we here, all of us here, have more courage than you? We will keep fighting. Feel free to join us anytime.
Good morning, Ross Workman from Menominee Falls. Like millions of Americans, I've lost tens of thousands of dollars in retirement savings over the last month. Not because of some national or global emergency, but through the incompetence and irresponsibility of one man and the subservience of Congress, including you, Mr. Johnson. Please reclaim Congress's responsibility for our economy and the phony economic emergency and help salvage our economy and our democracy. Do your damn job, Senator.
Hey folks, my name is State Representative Ryan Clancy. And for Senator Ron Johnson, I have too many questions to go into today, but they maybe could be encapsulated by how do you sleep at night? And I've been in office a few years now, and I have to say I've never seen people that are more scared for themselves, for their neighbors, for people they don't know personally, but that they know are vulnerable to what Ron Johnson and Trump and that whole regime is doing. I've also never seen people so willing to show up and help. And I am just beyond grateful that there are hundreds of people in this room today and in our city, in our region, and our state that are not going to take this lying down. And if I was Ron Johnson, I wouldn't be here either, because people are, raise your hand if you're angry. And that is a righteous anger. And please stick with that in the days and the weeks and the months to come, because that is where a lot of our power is. And it is not just here. It's not in this room. It's not just in the Milwaukee area. I was up in Wild Rose about a month and a half ago. And their community center is the size of maybe that side room there. And it was packed with people who were not traditional Democrats or progressive or socialist, but they were really scared and they were angry. And they were angry specifically about Medicaid. And we heard just gut-wrenching stories. Many, many people saying, if it was not for Medicaid, the Medicaid that Ron Johnson is trying to cut, I would be dead. My child would be dead. We cannot afford these cuts that are coming with the Trump administration, with Ron Johnson enabling that. And we don't often have victories at the state level, but I want to talk briefly about the importance of showing up and telling your story. Because just a week and a half ago, state Republicans circulated legislation that would attack Wisconsin Medicaid recipients. And they would make them recertify their condition, which almost every case is permanent, twice a year rather than once. It was inhuman, and there was no reason for it because they didn't bring any data showing that there is wide-scale Medicaid fraud. But as a result of 2.5 hours of testimony at the state, just a few days ago, the Republicans decided not to take a vote on that. So we're living in a time of yes and thank you for being here. And I'm looking forward to the next time that you show up, you tell your stories, and you push back on this. Thank you for being here.
My name is Mitch Ost. I live in Whitefish Bay. I taught in Shorewood. One of the big concerns I have is all these programs that are being eliminated impact low-income, middle-income people the most. And all the cuts are being done to give more money to the rich. Where is your conscience that you will sacrifice the lives of so many for the good of so few? I also want to talk about the hypocrisy. You keep on saying that you want to reduce the deficit, reduce the debt. That has been one of your major talking points. But what you're doing right now by giving tax cuts to the wealthy is going to mushroom the deficit. To me, that seems very hypocritical. I don't understand how you can justify it. Please let me know how you can justify it. Thank you.
I hope you can all hear me. I have my good friend with me as moral support, because this is rather personal, and I lost my daughter-in-law 7 weeks ago from colon cancer, and all I want to ask the government is, how in the world can you cut any research? I mean, that to me is horrible. I just want to ask any of the Republicans if they have a heart. Does Ron Johnson, do you have a heart? I would not wish that to happen to anyone in your family. My daughter-in-law suffered so badly. And cancer and any other of these diseases that they're cutting back on are horrible. So I just don't understand how they can even consider that. And I wish I could see him and ask him. I wouldn't want it to happen to anyone in his family or anybody's family. So that's all I have to say.
Hi, I'm Nancy Palazzaro. I live in Kewaskum. I had a couple of concerns. First of all, Senator Johnson, when you take your oath of office, you swear allegiance to our Constitution to protect it from both foreign and domestic terrorists. Where were you protecting us from the January 6th insurrection? Us from Trump's present contempt of court, failing to send Garcia back from his El Salvador prison. And I have a personal anecdote to tell you. You, Senator Johnson, are a member of the Committee on Aging. As a senior citizen, I am very dependent upon both Social Security and Medicare. Now, a few months ago, I had a mammogram that was questionable. I went in, had a biopsy taken, and it was positive for introductal cancer. Now, I saw many specialists, had many tests taken. Last week, I went in and had a lumpectomy taken. Now, mine is really a special story because when the pathology came back, they totally found no cancer. And I guess my question is, I was so fortunate to have that spontaneous remission. To me, that's something that cancer research should be delving into so that others can share in a positive outlook like that. But Senator Johnson, all of our research monies for cancer and other diseases are being taken away from us. And I say, shame on you, you need to protect us.
My name is Melvin Vance, and I live in Bayside, Wisconsin. And I'm here to speak for some people who can't speak for themselves. We think that, Senator Johnson, that is what it means to be human, to be able to represent and to care for all of us as equals. There are children that are going to die in the poor parts of this world because of AIDS, USAID, being canceled. It was less than 1% of our budget. That has nothing to do with efficiency. That has something to do with disregard. That has something to do with white racism. We also want to speak up for the LGBTQ+ community. The things that are being said, the two-gender stuff that's being put out, this is harmful, this is dangerous, this is a disgrace. I don't know if you're going to listen to this, Senator Johnson, but if you work for Senator Johnson and you have to listen to this, I think you should evaluate whether your job is the right one for you.
Good afternoon. My name is Dan Mattel. I've lived in Wisconsin my entire life, growing up on the south side of Milwaukee, and living for the past 40 years in Glendale. And no, Senator Johnson, I am not a paid protester. It seems that every morning I wake up, there's this crazy news going on out there, something new to worry about, whether it's health care, Social Security, tariffs, maybe a madman with a chainsaw. But what worries me most of all is the big picture, and that's the trampling of our Constitution by Donald Trump and his cohorts. As he's doing this, Senator Johnson, you sit silent. You've got to speak up. So, my question to you, Senator Johnson, do you have the courage to be a patriot and stand up to this tyrannical behavior? MAGA has morphed into Make America a Monarchy again. Is that what we want? I say hell no. Sorry, Pastor. So, Senator Johnson, what do you say? Thank you.
Hi, everybody. Thanks for coming out today. My name is William Walter, Germantown, Wisconsin, 53022. Senator Johnson, due process, defined as the application by the state of all legal rules and principles pertaining to a case, so all legal rights owed to a person, that is, all people, are respected. Both the 5th and 14th Amendment each contain a due process clause, prohibiting deprivation of life, liberty, or property by federal or state governments without due process of law. This is a vehicle for the incorporation of the Bill of Rights, a foundational pillar of American democracy. We believe in a fair and impartial justice system. Without it, we the people cannot claim to truly be free. Either everybody is safe, everybody is protected by the law, everybody is free, or nobody is. Donald Trump and his mercenaries, paid for, by the way, by our tax dollars, are quite literally kidnapping people off the street. Donald Trump is ignoring American courts, including a 9-0 ruling by the Supreme Court. He is trampling the American Constitution. Why, Senator Johnson, are you allowing this? You swore an oath to the Constitution, not to Donald Trump. Your job is to serve the needs of the many, not the will of the few. When will you act like it?
I want all of our speakers to hold the mic and speak just like that. I need numbers 40 through 50 to head over there.
Hi, my name is Angela Schneider. I'm from Germantown, Wisconsin. 53022. There was only one good thing Trump did, and that was he saved my life. I knew I had to stay alive to protect my family, my friends, and America. And even the world from the evil that he represents. I knew he was dangerous before his first presidency. So here I am, keeping my oath to protect democracy. Where are you, Senator Johnson? You are on the Homeland Security and Governmental Affairs Committee, but your actions show you are not doing your job by protecting democracy and we the people. A whistleblower has proof that DOJ took and left the door open for Russia to come in and take the protected information. Supreme Court rules against Trump for not following the rule of law and his oath. Due process is a constitutional right. Follow your oath because Trump hasn't. DOJ also hacked all our info, every one of us. So what are you doing about that? Alien Enemies Act to deny due process is BS. We are not at war with Venezuela. When did Congress and you pronounce we were at war with them? You've abandoned Ukraine, NATO, we are in danger, and now siding with dictatorships like Putin, with Putin talking points. Congress passed a budget, and that budget was stomped out by Trump and DOJ in the last administration. So why don't you investigate why Musk was allowed to infiltrate our government while having businesses such as Starlink, etc., this reeks of corruption. We even have a whistleblower who has proof of Starlink DOJ invasion. And Trump selling crap and making money off his presidency is in-your-face corruption. Follow the money, including the crypto adventure and the bananas. What do you get in return for selling off democracy? Because it's apparent that Trump wants to invade countries and make deals for profit. Look up the word corruption. This is how democracies fall. Stand for democracy, not dictatorship. Stand for your oath.
I don't know how I can follow that. Joe Hilliard,
Fox Point this spring.
Hold the mic.
53217.
Can you hold the mic closer?
All right.
Yeah.
I'll speak up with her. This way. The previous young lady stole one of the questions I was going to ask about who are we at war with? What's this crap about the Alien Enemies Act to be invoked when we're at war? So who are we at war with, Senator Johnson? Number two, we've heard a good deal about Mr. Trump's various actions, shall we say. I recall, and I hope the senator does too, Richard Nixon. The second of his articles of impeachment, does anyone recall? The subject, abuse of power. So my second question to Senator Johnson would be, would you send me your top 10 list of Trump's abuses of power that you are most proud of and most supportive of? And my third question is, why won't you answer the emails and letters that my wife has been sending you for months? She puts a lot of work into them, and we would like answers to the questions she's posing. So, I'll wind up with this. I imagine many of you, some of you at least, were in Milwaukee on April 5th at the protest. And if I can tie this back to comments from Chris and Deb, one of the signs that struck me, and you've heard this before, from Bob Marley, get up, stand up. Stand up for your rights.
I am Paul Sanderson from Whitefish Bay, 53217. Senator Johnson, you talk big about democracy, but you seem to do nothing. Money is not a person. Help our democracy by leading the fight to end Citizens United. Please, stop. And okay. I took an oath. I was in the Air Force. 1993, 1997, oh, I'm not, 1963 to 67. I'm a lot older. I took an oath to the Constitution. You as senator took an oath to the Constitution. I don't like to speak ill, but if you follow and support Trump, what more could you be? I'm sorry to say this, but a traitor.
My name is Linda Sanderson. I'm his wife.
Louder with the mic.
I live in Whitefish Bay and have for the last 31 years and love it. I've been in Wisconsin since 1971. I'm a retired teacher, middle school in Greenfield. And my question for Johnson is, why are you allowing Doge, Elon Musk, to raid Social Security? I put money in there since I was 16 years old. That's my money. And you put money in there, that's your money. We have to fight back.
Marks the spot. I am State Representative Darian Brian Madison Jr. I live in Milwaukee, 53209, and I represent all of Glendale and all of Shorewood, and parts of Milwaukee, of course. Those who are silent in situations of injustice take the side of the oppressor. That quote is something that my predecessor told me when I was sworn into office in 2023. Ron Johnson, in this moment right now, where folks around the state of Wisconsin have been calling upon you, emailing you, pleading with you to do something, you are silent. And that is the most harmful thing you can do to the most marginalized populations in our communities. When our communities are loud about their needs and you are silent, you're wishing their death. You're wishing for their deaths. Our children, our seniors, our parks, they've been asking for support. Our veterans have been asking for support, and you are not defending them. I often believe that when executives are being a sword to all of the things that we care about, it's up to legislative bodies to be the shield.
Yes.
And right now, the federal government is being a sword to everything that we care about. So right now, the folks who are at the state are trying to be a shield. All of these folks who are here, who are elected officials, are listening to the people of Wisconsin, and they've taken time out of their day. I drove home at 2 a.m. this morning from Madison so I could be here. And you are not here. We deserve better. And there are millions of people who have shown you around the state that they are ready for a voice, someone who will represent their values. So if you don't do what's necessary, we will be coming to replace you.
My name is Steve Hoynatsky. I live in Glendale. And there once was a man named Ron Johnson who claims he supports our Wisconsin. In his words, January 6th was just tourism, and cutting aid to our citizens are just two ways you disgrace our Constitution. I would like to say, my wife and I are so incensed with what's going on in Washington and Ron Johnson's acquiescence to Trump. We had to do something by our house, and so we created a sign, TRUMP. T is for tyrant, R is for reprobate, U is for un-American, M is for muskrat, and P is for predator. You may borrow that if you'd like.
My name is Gigi Pomerantz, and I am from Bayview, 53207. And I have two issues that I wanted to speak about. I'm the founder of Youth Haiti, a nonprofit that works in rural Haiti, and I have Many of you know that, and Ron Johnson, you know that Haiti is in total disarray with the takeover of gangs because of a lot of things that the United States has done in supporting an inappropriate government in Haiti. President Biden started a program called the Parole Program, and people were sponsored in the United States by Americans and brought here legally and given an opportunity to work. And President Trump is pulling the rug out from underneath their feet. Those that have been here since the earthquake in 2010, who have temporary protected status, he is pulling the rug out from underneath their feet. These are people who have followed the rules. They are here legally, and all of their rights are being taken away. Haiti's not a place where people can return to. What will happen to them? My other concern has to do with people who speak out for Palestine. What has been happening in Gaza is a disgrace. The United States support, in terms of billions of dollars for arms for Israel, is a disgrace. And people who have had their free speech rights impeded upon and are taken off the streets for speaking out, that is a disgrace. Right now, that is only, it's been immigrants who are here legally. When will it be American citizens? I expect you to defend our free speech rights. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Barbara Reynolds, and I'm from Mequon, Wisconsin. Am I the only one from Mequon? A couple of them here. Anyway, I've heard Ron Johnson say that when people are asking him about Social Security, he said, nothing's going to happen to Social Security, that's all fake news. Liar. Oh, liar. Liar. It is a liar. Anyway, does he have any idea what DOJ has done inside of Social Security?
Put the mic by your mouth.
Oh, Social Security has been decimated by DOJ. They're closing offices. They're cutting staff by 89%. Yeah, a lot of the people have to wait for hours and, on the phone, because in order to get an appointment, you have to either talk to them on the phone or email them and get a response. But the site has been crashing all the time, so they can't, get an appointment that way. And if they're standing in line, and they don't have an appointment, they're just told to leave. So anyway, my question for you, Ron Johnson, is what are you doing to protect our Social Security? My friend and I were just talking a little while ago about Ron Johnson, and he's not up for election for a while, but we were saying, what about a recall? The other thing I wanted to talk about was the SAVE Act. The SAVE Act is voter suppression, especially against married women. And Ron Johnson, are you going to vote yes or no for the SAVE Act? I think I can guess how you're going to vote. And then the last thing I have to say is, and this has probably been covered a little bit, but it doesn't hurt to repeat it. 1.3 million people are on Medicaid in Wisconsin. 700,000 people are on SNAP in Wisconsin. If Republicans succeed in passing their billionaire tax scam, millions of Americans will lose their health care or face catastrophic medical debt. Hospitals and healthcare facilities could close. Tens of thousands of kids could go hungry. You will be held accountable if you cast your vote to cut Medicaid, SNAP, and other vital programs. Will you vote for this?
Hi, my name's Maria Elena Calhoun. I am a nurse practitioner and I've retired, but I've been a nurse for almost 50 years. I believe in science. Who here believes government, the destruction of institutions that protect us, the CDC, the NIH, the Food Inspection Program, and many other things. The VA, I have a niece who is a doctor at the VA who has lost half her medical staff because of these cuts. So why don't you support veterans, Ron Johnson? They have cut funding for monitoring of diseases. 4 cases of silent TB have showed up in Vermont. Now, we're on the verge of the bird flu, which is transferred over to mammals. And in case you didn't know, Ron Johnson, you are a mammal. I call your office almost every single day. You're on my speed dial, and I leave messages with my zip code 53211. But I haven't heard from you. Okay, so this Trump administration that Ron Johnson supports is corrupting and destroying our institutions without reason or direction. Elon Musk is not an elected official. They are crippling the function of our government. And I'm here to speak basically about the SAFE Act, which is in disguise voter suppression against women. I do believe that women are the future, and abortion is health care. Vote him out.
Vote him out. Vote him out. Vote him out. Vote him out. Vote him out. All right, numbers, anybody between 48 and 69, head over there. I wish I said something interesting.
All right. Hi, folks. My name is Karen Young. I live in River West, Milwaukee, North Shore adjacent, 53212. I got 3 things about me. I retired 2 years ago. I'm very afraid that my Social Security and Medicare benefits will be eliminated by the Trump administration. So I plan to buy a condo this year, but now I'm putting it off because I might need that money to buy food if those benefits are gone. So that's just one way that our economy is losing because this sale isn't going to happen. And now 3 things about Ron Johnson. You won your last election in 2022 by just 1%. That's about 27,000 votes statewide. I'm pretty sure we got those votes in our sofa cushions in Metro Milwaukee. So let's do it. Also, Ron, you're a member of the Budget Committee, and you're going to play a big role in the Republican fight for massive new tax cuts for billionaires. And they're not going to wait till the fall. This is going to be coming in the next few weeks. So we really have to be ready to ramp it up. And I also have 3 things that America needs right now. I'm not here to defend the political establishment. Too many people in both parties are corrupt, and they're focused on partisan battles rather than solving problems or improving our lives. We need an entirely new direction in politics, new parties and new leaders. Now by that, I don't mean our great elected officials who are here. And I'm not joking, I love them all. Chris, Deb, Jody, Darren, especially Ryan, you are what the new leadership looks like. So thank you. Now this is what we gotta all understand about this budget that's coming. They keep saying they're not going to cut Social Security, they're not going to cut Medicare. They think that Elon can make all these cuts and the budget will be balanced. It can't be done. You can't give tax cuts to billionaires and leave Social Security, Medicare, and Medicaid alone without exploding the deficit. And they all say they want a balanced budget. So we have to choose. And what I think we need to choose is we need billionaires to start paying their fair share of taxes. And then we can have a rational discussion, as opposed to what Elon is doing, about how we could cut costs without destroying vital services that we need and we deserve. Our Constitution says that all men are created equal, and that government derives their just powers from the consent of the governed. That's us. In other words, we need government to help provide a level playing field so that everyone has a chance to succeed, to take care of themselves and their families with dignity. We need to use our tax money to serve the common good. Things like roads, internet service, public libraries, food banks, rather than to line the pockets of politicians. So, Ron Johnson, my question is, you're waiting for this. My question is, which side are you on? The side that wants a level playing field for all of us, where we all pay taxes and we spend those taxes for the common good? Or the side that's okay with 3 people, Elon Musk, Jeff Bezos, and Mark Zuckerberg, owning 50% of all the wealth in this country and still skipping out on their taxes. So which side are you on? Us or the billionaires?
Hello, can you hear me okay? Yes. My name is Kathleen Dunn. Thank you. I've been retired for 7 years now and was in the media in this country for a long time, or in this city for about 42 years. Thank you. I couldn't have functioned in this climate, believe me. You know, there are 2 things that I hold dear. One is truth and one is kindness. And I must say that we're not hearing the truth every single day from a lot of news outlets, and we're seeing the antithesis of kindness. And it breaks my heart. It breaks the country's heart. And it's also, I think, breaking the world's heart in many ways. An underreported story is the loss of the Voice of America, which for 80 years has presented, I'm glad people are aware of this, has presented truth, not only about the countries, that are many people living in totalitarian countries, but also the truth about our country. Even-handed Associated Press reporters, we should restore that funding, along with USAID. You know, it's a voice that people need to hear. Imagine living in that country and you can't get the truth. We also, I'm very concerned about the Associated Press not being allowed in the White House. Pretty soon it will only be very conservative right-wing organizations. The truth is ours, and we need to be able to get the truth from news organizations. NPR, PBS, vital organizations in this country. Restore their funding. If it weren't for the press, we wouldn't be able to get the truth about a lot of the issues that we're very concerned about, and we need to support organizations that are doing hard-hitting journalism. The New York Times has done wonderful work on what's happening with people who are being sent to places in El Salvador who are innocent. We need to get the truth, and we need to support the organizations, ProPublica, NPR, PBS, Washington Post, other organizations, and our local journalism to make sure that these stories come out. And I ask that may truth and kindness prevail in this country.
We're back again. We've got about 10 minutes left, so this is the last call for questions. I don't see too many people over here. Even if you didn't get a number, if you are inspired to ask him a question, please join the line.
Hey folks, my name's Simon Rosenblum Larson, born and raised in Madison, Wisconsin, 53703. I just want to poll the audience quickly. How many of you all use Medicare? Oh, look at that. I think that's a generational divide. How many folks know somebody or use Medicaid? How many folks are on Social Security? How many folks know somebody or are on SNAP? How many folks have ever used the Wisconsin Community Health Services Network? I'm not going to ask you about this one, but these budget cuts affect all of these programs and the suicide and crisis hotline here in Wisconsin, okay? These cuts coming from the Trump administration are going to affect our lives in so many ways. They're affecting mine, and they've affected mine already. I'm now a field organizer for Senator Bernie Sanders' Fighting Oligarchy program. Before this, I worked in foreign aid. I helped strengthen unions overseas as a union organizer. I was furloughed from that job because of Trump and Musk's Doge attacks. My father has cancer. He has stage 4 cancer. He's been on 3 clinical trials that were funded by federal dollars. None of them have worked yet. Research in cancer is what's going to keep my father alive, and Doge cuts are affecting that too. These cuts, they're coming to give tax breaks to the 1%. $2 trillion in tax breaks are going to go to the richest 1% in this country. They're paying for that by cutting my father's cancer care, by cutting our foreign aid, by cutting our support for workers overseas, by cutting your Social Security, by going after Medicaid, by going after nutritional programs. That is indescribably evil. Organizing works, and that's why I came back to Wisconsin from my job to work with Senator Bernie Sanders and his team to organize here in our state. We have flipped 20 Republican legislators in the House to say they're not going to vote against cuts to Medicaid. That is not a coincidence that happens because people show up in the streets, they walk out of their jobs, they go on strike, they walk picket lines, they support their neighbors, and they show up. They show up. Now we're organizing right now in this state to beat Trump's budget. And I'm going to give you an action item you can do right now on your phone. So please, for a second, just take out your phones. All right, you're going to type in a URL, tinyurl.com/not-for-Wisconsin, WI, excuse me, not for WI. tinyurl.com/not-for-WI. Okay, that will take you to a petition that we're organizing signatures to vote no on Trump's budget. Okay, that's going to go to Senator Ron Johnson. It's also going to go to Representatives Derek Van Orden, Brian Stile, Glenn Grothman, Scott Fitzgerald, Tony Wyde, all of these, Tom Tiffany, all the legislators that are voting for Trump's legislation in Congress will be responsible for either ensuring our programs are protected or slicing up the things that we depend on as Americans. So I want you to fill out that petition, and I want you to share it with your neighbors. We're going to organize marches to offices. We're going to organize rallies in communities. The URL again? Yes. tinyurl.com/not-for-WI. tinyurl.com/not-for-WI. You can share that petition, you can sign that petition, you can organize around that petition. I'll see you on the streets. Solidarity.
Hi, my name is Joanne Early Mackin. I live in Shorewood, Wisconsin, 53211. Senator Johnson, I call you almost every day, and I hardly ever speak to a person on the phone. Now I'm here for a town hall, and you did not show up. What are you afraid of? I have been paying into Social Security for more than 50 years, and now I depend on it. Republicans keep saying that they will not cut Social Security, Medicare, or Medicaid, Why should we believe anything you say when Trump has reversed his policies again and again? Everyone knows that Congress has the power to create and defund agencies, to levy tariffs, and to declare war. Why are you not doing your job? Please stop the cruelty.
Hi, my name is John Jager. I'm from Random Lake, Wisconsin. So many people have spoken so eloquently about many issues. Some people have brought up the idea of recall for Ron Johnson. There's also someone else I'd like to recall and remove from his job. And Ron Johnson is the only one who could have any impact on it. I would like to see impeachment papers being drawn up by anybody who can do it in our federal government to impeach the man who is violating our laws on a daily basis. I'd like to know if Ron Johnson is going to stand up for our country and help impeach Donald Trump, who is by far the worst president who has ever been elected to office.
My name is Nancy Gregory. I'm from Milwaukee, 53211, Shorewood Post Office. In 2005, my daughter attended with her partner an event in Chicago where Trump was promoting his book on how to get rich. At the end of it, he had like 5 minutes to fill in, so he shared something and said, and this stuck with her, and she shared it with me, and I was like, oh? Children should only go to school until age 14. After age 14, they should go to work. And when they get enough money, they can pay people like me to teach them what they need to know. Now, in Florida, they're debating whether or not they can to allow 14-year-olds to work on the farms because they don't have workers. Wisconsin is in danger of not having workers. Do we want our 14-year-olds to be allowed to skip school so that they can go work? No! So, Ron Johnson, who are you supporting? The people, the will of the people, or the will of Trump as Elon Musk suggested? Thank you.
Larry Rutlandstein from Glendale. I would like to say to Ron that, as many of you have said, that he's not doing what he's supposed to be. He's not supposed to be just standing around and agreeing with Mr. Trump, Mr. Musk, and the entire cabinet of amateurs. It is beyond me how people are hired in this administration to do something they are totally unqualified to do. It is as if they can hire someone who's against something, that's what they'll be hired to do, or undo. But beyond that, I thought it was very interesting when President Trump put the Declaration of Independence up in his office. And he was very proud of it, and he bragged about it. I don't believe he ever read it. Because if you read the Declaration of Independence, where it says the King of the United Kingdom, you can substitute Donald Trump. point by point by point the reasons we made the move to the United States of America with this document was to undo everything that Donald Trump is redoing right now. The other point that I think, that I'd like to make, that I think is quite involved with the whole thing, is that we've seen individual effects of his short time in office in this country. However, there's such a thing as goodwill with other countries, and there is no respect for any other country except one that kowtows to Mr. Trump. It's ruled by extortion. And if you do not agree with him, you know, we don't need to do anything with you. I'm a Luxembourger, and the embassy in Luxembourg is going to be gone within a few days. Is there any reason that that any country should come to our aid should we need it? I doubt it.
Hello, my name is Mike Friedman. I live in Whitefish Bay, 53217. And it looks like I might be the last speaker, so I'm in between you and lunch or a drink or a cocktail or whatever's next. But it was sort of interesting, before I get to my comments, is that we all understand why Ron Johnson wasn't here, but I did not hear one speaker supporting him today. Yes. Not one. So where are they? And I thought he'd at least have one paid operative here to support it, but I guess he didn't do that. But we get to Doge as far as what they're supposed to be doing, and people explain that as far as efficiency, fraud, and trying to save money. And what I'd like to say is, we're all being conned. That's not the purpose of this at all. And I'm going to point out why it's not the purpose. And you have to keep the eye on the ball, and not what they're trying to do and cut programs, and we all know that's bad. That's not the agenda here. I'm a tax person, I'm a CPA, get a little wonky at times, but bear with me. I was appointed by 2 commissioners of the Internal Revenue Service to provide tax advice, consulting advice to the IRS. And let's look at what's happening with the IRS and what's going on, and why this doesn't make any sense. Tens of thousands of people in the IRS have been let go. They've had 5 commissioners of the IRS in the last 3 months. That's unheard of. I have statistics that go back years and years and years, and I recently read an article. For every dollar that's spent on the IRS supporting it, at a minimum of 4 to 5 times of that is raised in revenue. And statistically, that's correct. So if you're laying off 20 or 30,000 people, you're going to lose a minimum of whatever that cost is times 4 or 5. In addition to that, and I talked to somebody recently, audits go on. Who do they audit? They don't audit typically people like me, people like you, that have a W-2, have a 1099, all that's computer generated. Where they raise the money are multi-million-dollar corporations, the billionaires that have tax schemes that I'm somewhat familiar with, that could be legal, could be illegal, and that's where the money's raised. Well, what's going to happen is those aren't going to happen. So there's no efficiency, there's less service for you and me, there's tens of billions of dollars less revenue coming in to the United States. And so, is it really about efficiency? Is it really about trying to save money? Is it really trying to create revenue? No, it's absolutely not. And so from that perspective, I do have a question for Ron Johnson. Okay, I'm almost done. I've said, when are you gonna stop the greatest con that ever happened in the United States and the greatest con
Hi there, my name's Michael Ignacek from Milwaukee. I hadn't intended to speak today, but I was kind of moved. It's beautiful to see everybody here. I'm speaking more to the crowd than Ron Johnson, just because I'm kind of moved by what I saw today. But what I'm wondering is, who is as angry as I am about what's happening? I'm really angry. And I'll keep this brief. I just want everybody to be reminded that if you are asked to do something that you know is against human rights or civil rights or illegal, against our Constitution, any of those things, you do not have to comply. You don't have to cooperate. That's our thinking.
Thank you. My name is Debbie Patel, and quite a few of you heard from me in emails. And I don't really have anything to say to you, Senator Johnson, because the video that Dan Folkman and I put together says probably the things that I want to talk to you about. But I do want to say some words to the people here, the good souls who have stuck through the whole thing before I turn the mic over to the real powers behind me. And that is that you're here today, and we really appreciate that. I really appreciate that. We were very excited with how interested people were in this event. I think we're in this for the long haul. And I wanted to point out that we do not have, as an avenue, we cannot, what is it called when we cannot recall Ron Johnson. I know, grown, because you're not allowed to recall senators and congressmen. And I would say that we could make his life miserable, but we probably, that we will do if we do what we need to do. And I just wanted to say that each of us is going to have to decide on their own what they're willing to do, how far they're willing to go, where they're going to stand, where they're going to show up. And I will just share just a minute about my personal story. I was a history major, and I'm very interested in history. And so I'm the family historian. My father wanted me to join the Daughters of the American Revolution. I wasn't really interested until after 9/11. My husband is of Persian descent, so he was racially profiled, even though he's from India. And I found that inexcusable. We have one child, and so for some reason I thought if I joined the DAR, I could protect her. So anyway, I joined the DAR, and I realized in retrospect that that really wasn't necessary at the time. But beyond that, then I got really captured by the idea of digging into history. So in addition to that, I'm a member of the, I'm a dame of the Magna Carta because I trace my heritage back to one of the people that forced the signature of the Magna Carta. My father served in the Pacific during World War II. He went on to be an intelligence officer with the Internal Revenue Service, where he would be gone for months, where he infiltrated organized crime in New York. My mother once broke his cover, and we had to leave the house for 3 days until we knew things were safe. In 1968, he was pulled over to help guard presidential candidates, and he had to learn how to defuse bombs, he climbed up trees, and he guarded presidential candidates. I thought that I was doing this work. I started with Fair Maps work. I thought I was doing it because my ancestors called me to it. But it is way beyond that. Our one daughter now lives in Europe, and when I was home, when I was with her in the Netherlands, I went to visit a concentration camp, and I went to the Dutch Resistance Museum. Both of those institutions are there to make people think about what would you do. And in December, I knew that each one of us would be faced with that. And I want to be a helper. That's what I want to be, and that's why I participated in this today. And I ask you each to think, how far would you go? What are you willing to do? Because we are in it for the long haul.